going to basically review some of the assignments we received over the past of the last 2 to 3 days. Actually, there were many more than what we expected. So I guess that the topic was quite interesting of interest for many of you. So we pick 3 in particular that we're gonna share, basically review with you, and then also share more insight about what to look at. And I'm gonna do it today together with Theo, that is here with me. In terms of Q&A and asking questions, we're gonna do it a bit differently this time since it's a much smaller crowd. So feel free, as Theo just wrote on Zoom, to ask the questions directly on the group chat. We will basically answer them. Since we're gonna look at 3 different assignment submissions, we will stop after each of the assignment submissions to answer it, and maybe also while we go through the assignment itself. If the question is relevant to specifically the topic and the point we're making, then we can also answer right away. So no need to use Slido. Just ask the question directly on Zoom. Good, Theo. Did I miss anything? Can we start with the first assignment?
Yep, let's start, Matteo.
Oh, okay, perfect. So let me start by sharing my screen. There we go. So we're gonna start with assignment from Easton. So very interesting. Both your answer and the topic you chose, which is RunGuru, runguru.com, that I'm sure all of you are very familiar with. So first thing first, the choice of RunGuru is a very interesting and challenging one. Reason being that it's a very complex business. So if you, as you're probably also familiar with, RunGuru has a variety of business lines and products, which makes the whole analysis on similar web far from easy, actually much more complex than others. As you can see already from the homepage, the Rung Blajar, then the Rungless Online. There's so many Brain Academy, Skill Academy that also have different domain and different websites, right? So it's a very complex business to analyze, right? So it's definitely not the easiest to do. But nonetheless, very interesting. So let's start by scrolling down what Easton wrote in terms of the overview. So description about RunGuru, a screenshot of SimilarWeb view, which actually let me also do it in real time so that we are looking at the same image. There we go. We want to have more insights, so I click here. And by the way, in terms of questions, the questions you ask also very specific questions about everything that I'm sharing and I'm telling you. If you want to dig deeper, take advantage of the fact that we are a much smaller group today, so we can really ask all of your answer all of your questions. So this is the same screen that I can see here from Easton. What you mentioned that in December 19, RunGuru slowed down the heavy marketing campaign activities to prepare the new communication strategy. As the result of that, the website visitor increased because they launched a new campaign with a brand ambassador, right? So basically what you're referring here is the increase in January over December. Now, the feedback on what you just mentioned here is try not to be as deterministic in the cause and effects, meaning that unless you have very strong evidence on why something caused something else, right? don't try to not jump into the conclusion. What I meant here is what you are sharing about the new brand ambassador campaign could be one of the reasons why you see that little increase in December versus sorry, in January versus December. But chances are that actually this is not the reason, or there are plenty of other concurrent reasons, right? So if you are, if you are so sure about one reason, you need to back it up with additional evidence. If not, just mention it that could be, one of the codes, but it's not basically the only one, or even the main one. The other thing that you should know, and you should always keep in mind when looking at, in general, when it comes to website traffic, also apps, apps usage, is that the fluctuation month on month is normal, right? So you will never have a straight line here of, in this case, 7 million every month. It is absolutely normal to have a fluctuation, 20, 30%, or or even more than that. What you should pay attention to is when you have a fluctuation, be it an increase or be it a decrease of basically more than, for example, 30%, or whether that increase or decrease is remaining after, for example, 3 or more months in a row. Because in that case, then you have a pattern. And if you have a pattern, then it gets more interesting to really understand what is going on, because chances are that it's not coincidence and it's not just pure seasonal fluctuations. Whereas jumping into conclusion where you just have 1 month, and when you have just, in this case, what is it, a bit more than 10% growth, it is very, very hard. So be a bit more prudent on that with that regards. Let's scroll down. So the other very, very important report, actually the single most important one, if you remember from last Friday, is the traffic sources report, right? Which is what you see here. What you rightly mention is, yeah, organic is very strong, and especially, search is very strong, and especially organic search, 97%. And this is, this is very, 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 very interesting. And I would say this is probably the most important insight when it comes to their web traffic. That is that search, and specifically SEO, right, is the basically most important source of traffic, right? 83%. So basically 83 times this 97 means that more than 80% of the web traffic they get it from, they get it from organic search. To what you're saying here, that some of the keywords, that generated traffic to the website are RevoU career, etc. Right? So this is absolutely normal. It's always the case, except from a few exceptions, that the top keywords, especially when the brand is is known, are the keywords of the brand itself, right? So this is basically, this is normal. But that leads me to another point that I want to make, which is if the traffic brought by the so-called branded keywords, right, is very high, that means that there might not be such a strong SEO strategy. What I mean by branded keywords, so a branded keyword is defined as a keyword that has the brand in it. So RevoU career, all these are so-called branded keywords. And the sum of all those keywords is pretty, it's pretty small. So here you have what total is probably 5%, right? So that means that the remaining 90+% are come from other keywords that don't have the brand in it. So that typically is a good insight that there's a strong or effective SEO strategy behind it. So let me show you as an example another case where that percentage of so-called branded keywords is much much higher, right? So let's take Alfamart as an example. That I'm also another brand that I'm pretty sure that everyone is familiar with. Here. Now, if you're looking at, let's look at SimilarWeb, more insights. And what I wanted to show you is the difference between the so-called percentage of branded keywords in the RevoU versus alfamartq.com. So if you scroll down, you go on search, 40% search, 99 organic. But then if you look at the keywords that have the brand in it, which is Alfamart, Alfamart Career, they account for a much bigger share of the organic traffic versus RevoU, which is just 3%, 1%, 0%. So that means when the so-called branded organic traffic is so high, as in the case of Alfamart, chances are, again, it's not a universal rule, but it's a pretty good rule of thumb, that their SEO strategy is not that strong, because basically most of the traffic they get is for people that are already searching for their own brand. And the way search engines are built, it is normal that you rank #1 when someone search for your own brand, right? So it's not a big achievement. So if a brand has a big share of search that comes from people that look for their brand, it means that there's probably not much. Basically, the ranking on the other keywords that are not their brands might not be as strong. So this is an insight that didn't mention in last week session, but I think it's a good case to make today. So once we see that basically there's so much traffic coming from organic search, right, and especially also for non-branded keywords, it's worth investigating more. Where are they getting their traffic from? Which also means trying to understand basically what is to reverse engineer what is their SEO strategy of such websites. So one thing you should start doing is browse the website itself, right? To see all the different sections, and to try to understand a bit better what are the type of content and the type of pages that the websites have and index on Google. Another way to look at it, which is more quantitative, is go on google.com and then type sites.runguru.com, and basically what you will get as a result of that is all the pages indexed on Google, basically all the pages that domain, which is runguru.com, has, right? And you see here there are more than 5,000 results, 5,000 different pages, and try to browse through those pages here, right, to see what are those pages, right? So by looking at that, you will see some patterns in terms of what are the pages that are basically most likely bringing traffic to the site. So what you see here, there's a lot of blog.runguru.com. See, blog here, blog here. So already you could have you can have some hints that actually blog. You see, there's plenty of blog pages, right? So you could have a hint already that maybe a lot of the traffic they are getting is because of the blog.runguru.com. So what you can do as a next step is do the same thing, but add here blog.runguru.com. And you see basically here, so if we go back, so you have 5,000 pages more or less on Google referring to RevoU, and you have more than 4,000 for blog.runguru.com. So what that means is basically more than 80% of the total pages that the total number of URL, the total number of pages that RuanGuru has built that has filled with content is from the blog.ruanguru.com. So that can already give you a pretty good, basically insight, right? That maybe their strategy in terms of generating traffic from SEO is from those blog.ruanguru.com pages. Now, I wanted to show you something else, which is basically goes just a little bit further. And it's about basically how you typically should look at when you want to dig deeper into specifically SEO and reverse engineering a company SEO strategy. I'll show you one tool, which is actually a paid tool, right? So it's not accessible for free, but it's one of the best, if not the best SEO tool to do this type of analysis. It's called ahref.com. I'm just gonna show you, and this is something actually we do go much deeper into our basically into our digital marketing program, because if you remember what we said last Friday, is that in order to be able to really understand what the strategy of any player is, you need to go much deeper into every channel. So I'm just gonna give you a glimpse here of of what you could do with such a tool. So basically, what I did here is this tool allows you to estimate, right? So it's always estimate, so it's never 100% accurate, but typically it's a pretty good estimate on what are basically the so-called top section, top subdomains of ruanguru.com in terms of traffic, as you can see here, traffic brought to RuangGuru, right? And what you can see here is that 89% of the traffic estimated to the whole ruanguru.com comes from that subdomain, which is blog.ruanguru.com, right? If you can further dig deeper. I click on pages here. Out of those almost 3,000 pages on blog.ruanguru.com, and what I see here, this tool tells me the estimate of what are all the single URL that generate the most amount of traffic. This is all estimates on a monthly basis. And I'm not gonna go deeper into how this tool estimates the traffic, but I mean, you can, if you look at ahref.com, let me just mention it maybe Theo, you can mention the ahref.com site on the chat so people can look at it. Also, they also have very, very, very good SEO guide and content. So if you want to learn about SEO on a self mode, ahref.com is a very, very good source to learn about SEO. But back to what we were saying. So here you see the list of all the pages that are estimated to bring the most traffic to RuangGuru, and you can see here all those different all those different articles / guides that basically that they wrote. So it becomes clear what their strategy is. Maybe Theo, if you want to jump in here and just quickly comment on what the topic of the different pages are, since you're probably more comfortable than me in the language. So to share what the pattern is in terms of what are those pages and how do they generate the traffic. What is the topic? You can already get from here.
Okay, sure. Okay, so actually, can you please go to the ruanguru.com, the page
blog
itself.
RuangGuru?
Yeah, the page itself first. Then we can go through the blog.
Okay. Okay.
Can you remove the bimbel? So just ruanguru.com.
I think it redirect me automatically, no? Yeah.
Or just say blog then, blog.
Yeah, I think I need to go to blog because they redirect me automatically. Oh, wait. ruanguru.com. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go on blog. It's gonna be easier. Okay.
Okay, so we can see from here, all the subjects that are covered by Ruang Guru is actually all the school subjects and also the college subject, and about guru, parenting, and wow ternyata is about around fact. So all question about fact, you can find it in this blog also. So imagine
Oh
that
man.
you search something at the Google, and they have this blog or this content at the Ruang Guru. So the Ruang Guru come out, and yeah, and you will get the traffic.
Let's see, for example, the top, what it estimated to be the, the single URL that generate the most, the single page that generate the most traffic is this one. And if you can see there, I'll also show you what are the keywords that generate the traffic. Oh, okay. So basically, if you search, for example, for LTMPT, you will see that so Ruang Guru should rank in the top, in the first 10 results for that, among other, right? So let's see. And I guess a lot of people are searching for that. Let's see. Maybe second page. Yeah, so that's the page exactly. So that's one of the page that generate the most, the most traffic. And basically, you can see, you can see the content here about it, right? So this was guys, to give you basically a glimpse on what is the next level, the second level, in terms of going a bit deeper in terms of understanding, try to understand what is the traffic strategy, the user and visitors acquisition strategy of a brand, right? So this is a very, very well-known brand. We just cover it super, very, 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 very quickly. And obviously, to really understand basically the content and SEO strategy behind it, you need to go much, much deeper than what we just saw here. But this is just to give you an overview of what is possible to do when you have the right framework and basically the right tools also to use. So back to Eastern assignment. Let's move on into the next analysis, which I also find interesting, referrals. So what you mention here and you screenshot is Brain. I can see Brainly here, right, as top one. Actually, let me see. Let's go back to the similar web page. Scroll down on up referral. Where is it? Oops. For some reason, not enough data. But if we look at basically at this, right? So what is particularly interesting about Brainly is, so Brainly is another basically player in the education space, which is also very strong on the SEO in the SEO space, meaning that they have a Q&A. It's a huge Q&A platform, and they generate basically a lot of search traffic. And what they also do is they have ads running on their basically on their website. Actually, let me see what I can show you. Let's see live if I can show you some ads. Let's see. Okay, I'm not able to show you here, but basically they do host display ads on their site, okay? And basically what Ruang Guru is probably doing, and since Brainly has huge amount of traffic, actually, if you look at SimilarWeb very quickly, you will see that they look at, I mean, this traffic seems almost too high and too good to be true, like 80 million monthly, right? But basically they generate a lot of traffic. So that means that they can, if you want to advertise on Brainly, means that you can have a huge exposure. And since it's the same sector, the same space as Ruang Guru, it makes total sense that actually RevoU is advertising on Brainly, right? Actually, funny if you search for Brainly RevoU, you see, yeah, kenapa ada iklan RevoU di Brainly, right? So there are people, other users probably are wondering, right? Yeah, just wondering about that. So that's, let me see if you can see the example here. Yeah, so what you see here appearing with the little eye here, so those are banners that are running on Brainly, and these are run for the one of you that are curious, and here's the same with Google Display Network, right? If you look at here, ikan oleh Google, see? So basically, every advertiser can show their banners on Brainly, right? And RevoU does it probably quite often because it's a very relevant audience for their own audience, right? So that is what it was particularly interesting about mentioning Brainly. Social is very small. If you by looking at this, right, 0.43. So, and also there's not much you can infer from that, to be very honest with you. So I'm not gonna spend time on that. What else? I think for the quantitative analysis, I think that's about it, right? Keep in mind that there are businesses like RevoU that are heavily app based, right? So what we're looking at here is the traffic, the mobile and desktop traffic on their site. But that doesn't mean that RevoU only have 7 million people every month interacting with the product and the services. The real number is much higher because most people actually interact with the apps. So always keep that in mind. So another good example is Gojek, right? If you look at Gojek, right, the website, you will see that the number of website visitors, I'm pretty sure it's very small compared to the number of users that using the app, because most people just use the app and on the website, right? So as you can see here, 5 million, right? Whereas the number of monthly app users is probably, I guess, 100+ million. So keep in mind that when you're analyzing a site, right? What I wanted to share a bit about, what I want to conclude about RevoU analysis is on, where is it? Is on the qualitative, adding a few things about qualitative. Surprisingly, I would say there is not much you can find by Googling, RevoU growth marketing strategy or marketing strategy. I look at this earlier, case studies. You can find. Always keep in mind what we also said last Friday, which is you will find many more case study, marketing strategy, blog posts, essays, etc. for US players, not many for Indonesian players. So if you have, always think about your comparable in the US market and Google case studies for that player, not specifically for your local player, because you will find much more there. So you cannot find, didn't find much here, but something that could be interesting is if you look at LinkedIn. Let's look at the other, strategy that we saw on Friday. I want to share you just one insight that I would, that actually further validates basically what we were saying what we just said now about their content marketing SEO strategy. So RevoU, there we go. So if you look at Google RevoU, the company, and then look at 1,800 employees, and you look, for example, for marketing here, I think two things emerge, right? So that the percentage of people working in marketing seems to be quite high, right, for the company. Although this number again is not fully accurate, but it's a good proxy people to see, how many people work in marketing in any given company when just looking at that on LinkedIn. The other thing is, if you start scrolling down here a bit, you see there's a lot of content marketing, content marketing again, content marketing, content marketing. Then you have content marketing, content marketing, content marketing, content marketing, content marketing. So there's so many content marketing, staff, right? Here gives me 130. It's a huge number. So that gives you that validates basically what we were saying before, right? That content is basically SEO, and writing content is a huge is a pretty important focus for the company, given also, and this is well reflected in the number of people that work in content marketing. And you can see it, as you can see it only with doing a couple of research on LinkedIn. So that's about it for RevoU. Guys, do you have, if anyone has questions, please ask just post it on Zoom. I'm gonna pause for 10 seconds to give you the time to ask question, and then when I start with the second one. Let me see. So let me then move forward, and always, I mean, you can go back to to ask questions also about about the RevoU at any time, if you feel like. Let me move on then to the second assignment we wanted to look at, which was Peggy. Let me find it. There we go. From, if I'm not mistaken, from Fonda, correct, Theo?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. So Fonda couldn't make it. She told me that she couldn't make it today, but actually it's a very, very good. It's a very good assignment and answer. And actually very happy to see such good assignments, because actually Fonda will start with us in the digital marketing program. So she's enrolled in our next batch already. So it's good that she's already able to provide this type of quality of deliverables. So Peggy, as I'm sure all, or at least most of you know, peggy.com, online, so-called OTA, as in online travel agency business, which in Indonesia specifically, it's a very, very fast-growing and competitive market. You have basically three big players fighting each other: Traveloka.com, Ticket.com, and then peggy.com. So it's a very, 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 very competitive, very interesting space, the online travel space. So let's see the assignment from Fonda on the quantitative. Let's start with the quantitative part first. Average visitors, and actually, sorry, let me also open my seminar web. Okay, good. So the first thing that Fonda mentioned is there's a huge drop in January compared to December, from basically 4.5 million to 2.9 million. So in this case, this is not normal fluctuation, right? So this is this is a pretty big, as you can see here, right? So pretty big drop. So this type of drop is definitely worth investigating. So very basically interesting assumption here, which is basically what Fonda mentioned here is that this is assumed to be caused by effect of coronavirus, which affected the tourism industry around the world, especially in Asia, and basically January, February, and hopefully not as much for for the coming months. So this is a basically very interesting and way out of the box insights. My comment on that is that first of all, to convalidate such thesis, right? The first thing you should do is whether you see that trend also visible for for the competition, right? Because if that's true, that this is something that should have happened also to, for example, Traveloka, right? Or Ticket.com, right? It is true that actually, if you read the news, the travel and the online travel industry seems to have been affected quite heavily, or is being affected quite heavily by the virus. So that is a likely basically reason. But it's always important to also look at whether this is confirmed by data, by look at the rest of the sector. So let's see Traveloka. So we also see a drop here around 20% in January. Ticket.com. Ticket.com, to the opposite, huge growth from actually December and also January. So that's basically, by looking at the competitors, this doesn't seem to be fully validated, right? What I would do as an additional step to further validate that hypothesis is Googling a bit around to see whether there has been any public statement about such company, about Peggy, about even Traveloka, right? About how such outbreak of the virus has affected their business, right? And to see when that has been communicated. That said, another basically likely hypothesis that I wanted to bring to the table, which wasn't mentioned here, is that drop could be, and actually I would go as far as saying that is probably more likely that the drop has been as the decrease of promotion and ads following the November and December shopping season. So November and December season have become very, very popular, especially in a country like Indonesia in the past few years, from the e-commerce world, right? With 11.11 and 12.12. If you just do a quick search, Peggy 12.12, then you see some promotion that they have run. So it could have. What I can tell you is November and December for e-commerce players, so be it Bukalapak, Tokopedia, Shopee, Lazada, etc., are typically huge months. So the increase of traffic typically is very, very, is very, very steep. And then January is a slower month. It could be that this is also the case of the online travel industry. To be honest, I'm not as deep into the sector to confirm that, but this could be a reason. Another empirical way to confirm that is just think about, since Peggy as Ticket.com and Traveloka runs a lot of offline advertising, right? Be it TV or be it billboards. Have you noticed in January a decrease? So think about whether you were seeing advertising from Peggy in December and you didn't see them anymore in January. This is a very empirical way to basically have more conviction on whether the drop of traffic is maybe because they just decrease the budget to promote the site, right? So this is like an additional hypothesis you could have. Next, the traffic sources, which is again probably the most important report. Yes, here as well, search is the basically most important um, channel, right? Together with direct. But as we mentioned, as if you remember from Friday, direct is never a channel where you can, make a lot of, you cannot infer much from the percentage here from direct traffic, right? Others have non-significant numbers or below 5%. So you are definitely right that you should focus here again on search. Then when you further look, 70% organic, 20% paid. So what you should know is search is indeed a major marketing channel, not only for Peggy, but for the also called meta search platform. So for those business that, as a business, they send the traffic to, for example, in the case of Peggy, to basically airlines or, sorry, not they send traffic, but basically they aggregate either be it hotels, be it flights and airlines, be it travel experience. For all those business, search is typically a very important channel. So I'm not surprised to see also here in Peggy almost 50% coming from search. What else? So here, as you can see, also the so-called branded traffic, as we have seen from RevoU, the ones that have the brand in it, like wait, let me see here. Peggy or Peggy exactly is it's also pretty low, less than 10%, which again, based on what we were saying before, probably shows that there's good chances that there's a SEO strategy behind such a big organic traffic. What else can you infer from here? So yeah, so the fact that we said direct, you cannot infer much, but when it's so high for a brand that already has quite a few millions of users, is mostly because they do run a lot of offline ads, right? And offline ads are ads that are not easily trackable with basically with online tracking system like SimilarWeb. So I would assume that by looking at this number, that this is the result of a lot of offline, advertising that that Peggy runs, which again is something that empirically seems to be the case. And I'm sure that most of you have seen their offline ads that they run, all around the country. So paid, what is interesting here, you see that to the keywords that they invest in, right? There's Traveloka. So that means that they want to, when you Google Traveloka, their site appears. Let's see whether this is something that I can replicate here. It's not always the case. Nope, no, it's not the case. But let me show you basically another tool that I just want to give you a glimpse of it, which is called Semrush. This tool, you can use it, and Theo, you can please share it on the chat. It's a tool which is free up to some extent, so you can play with it for a little bit. I'm using here the free version, and basically this is a tool, another competitive intelligence tool that is pretty good and pretty insightful for specifically for paid search. What I'm doing here, I'm putting peggy.com, and I want to see basically the report on so-called advertising research reports, and that shows what are the keywords that drive the paid keywords, the Google Ads keywords that drive traffic to peggy.com. Let's see, paid search position. So you can see here what that tool means. What shows me that they do indeed, get traffic from when people search for Agoda, for example, which is a competitor of theirs. We saw here, Traveloka.com. So basically, that shows that again there's really strong competition in the market, and everyone wants to show want to show up when people, or even when people are researching for a competitor. So this is another basically good insight that you can get out of it. What else? display. Something else that I want to share with you here. This, oops, there you go. Display advertising. Yeah, very low in total, only less than 1%. Google Display Network, vast majority, as we mentioned last time, and actually very good here. Fonda mentioned it. The fact that it's not fragmented and basically all the display network is the Google Display Network and total is only 0.3%. It really shows that display advertising shouldn't be a big focus for them, so it's not an important channel. And I think that for the quantitative approach, that covers most of it. That's some other analysis of competitors, pretty good. Now on to the qualitative one. So first of all, in what Fonda mentioned here, so she spotted a few very interesting profiles that kind of give you a bit of a glimpse of what's going on within the company. So in this case, for this, a social digital marketing, social media, interesting to see among the different duties of that person, provide continuous insight from digital marketing findings and perspective that can support product development roadmap and support other business decisions for growth. So what you can infer from that, and this is something that is nowadays the case for most companies. If you remember, again, what we mentioned last Friday was social media organic nowadays doesn't bring much revenue or traffic directly for pretty much any business. But what can be very, very useful for is both providing customer support to customers. So it's a way to interact directly with your own customers, but also on the base of those conversations, provide useful feedback to build, for example, new features on your product, or to change some process or some design, for example, and you get those feedback by means of interaction on your social media. So this is something that you could infer, for example, that Peggy is doing by just reading the different bullet points of that profile. Let's see something else. So here's a list of very good research on other job roles. SEO manager. What you can see here is by just reading at it, it seems that they have a pretty structured SEO approach to it. The words they use, and if you know a bit about SEO, that shows that they probably they have a pretty structured and comprehensive strategy. It's not just some random SEO person that work on it. So it's probably a team with multiple people. So here, when they say develop model to be able to identify correlation between SEO metrics, this is already something that shows that they put some definitely some thought behind it. Yeah, so this is a very good job listing where you can infer some of the practices. Another thing that I saw that was particularly interesting was on the pricing. Where was it? Right. Okay. So one of the strategy that Fonda mentioned that could be replicated to the business is build good pricing strategy to be able to give the best and competitive price to consumer, discount, promotion, or bonus. I want to spend just a few words on that, and this is quite interesting because actually pricing strategy is a very common marketing strategy, especially in Indonesia, and especially from sectors and from players that have basically raised a lot of capital. Basically, instead of running marketing campaigns or together with it, their main marketing strategy is just having the cheapest price, and in many cases they subsidize the price, right? So they take a loss, or they have negative margin just because that is a great way to attract customers. And the flip effect, the side effect of that is that basically doesn't make the marketing strategies of a company particularly sophisticated, because you are focusing on having the cheapest price, which is not something easy to do. But if you do that, basically your incentive to become more sophisticated in your marketing channels are a bit kind of lower, right? So this is, for example, one of the reasons when you look at a player that have the lowest pricing as their core, basically marketing strategies, chances are that maybe the rest of their marketing strategies are not that sophisticated. Here again, it's a big oversimplification and rule of thumb, but this is something that in many cases corresponds to the truth. Lastly, what I wanted to share about the qualitative approach to that, let me just share. Basically, if you Google Peggy marketing strategies, you land on a couple of very interesting results. So already in the first result, as you can see here, there's some interesting, potentially interesting article. First one here, Peggy aims to gain. Let's click on this. So this is from October 19, right? 2019. Has launched a campaign titled Butu Peggy in a bid to raise awareness, and they say that it will run until, what is it? Launch in September, and which will run until December, right? So that seems to validate what I was mentioning you at the beginning, right? Which is the drop in January might most likely, more than the coronavirus, might have been because of slowing down of the promotions done, right? And if you just Google it, that seems to be the case, right? So there's an additional element to to confirm that, right? That was the first interesting and qualitative insight. Something else that you can see, the use of affiliate marketing improving Peggy sales. So that's also very interesting. And let's click on that. So unfortunately, this is, oh no, it's here. Oh wow, this seems to be it's a very articulated article, right? But basically, what it says is study was conducted. The study was conducted to find out Peggy affiliate marketers use digital marketing to help their products in the digital media they use to help provide sales. The result of the study indicates that the basic understanding of how to market Peggy products through blogs, how to market blogs, through Google Ads, Facebook Ads, etc., etc. So what you can infer from that is that affiliate marketing, which is not something that is directly reflected on SimilarWeb, but nonetheless can be a very important and very effective marketing channel and strategy, seems to be important for Peggy. And basically here, by just looking at this, you can you can definitely, I'm pretty sure that you can learn a lot of things from from their marketing strategy, right? And it has been published in 2019, so it's pretty it's pretty recent. So yeah, so that's another case of by just googling Peggy marketing strategy in just 2 minutes already, we landed on 2 possible results that can give you very good additional insights. So that concludes the analysis for Peggy. Then let me see on the question. So we went a bit longer than we expected. So we're gonna just limit to 2 assignments for the sake of time today. Let's see one question. If a if a certain topic is booming and we want to rank with that keyword like corona, is there any strategy that could differentiate us from the high competition so that we could still rank? That's a very, very good question, actually. That's a very, very good question. I would say the most important thing when a topic is booming is the speed at which you are able to provide a good enough content to rank for Google. And reason is basically there is definitely an advantage in being first in writing about a certain topic with a certain level of quality, both because you could then have as an effect that other people, other publications link back to your resource, to your study, your blog post, and as a result of that, Google gives you even more authority, which means that you rank higher and higher. And also simply because Google tends to give basically some additional authority to a certain basically article if it has been the first one to be written about a topic before someone else, basically, especially if someone else then write exactly the same thing, right? So time to market and speed to market is very important. So if you start writing about something when the topic has already boomed, like for example Corona now, then chances for you to rank will be very, very low because plenty of other publications and other sites will have written about. So I would say that time to market is number one, and second is try to maintain try to produce something which is hard by definition, fast, but at the same time of high enough quality and depth, so that your aim should be to kind of position what you write with that either blog post or that content as the initial reference for other sites then to link to. And as we said, if other sites that link to, then your page and your content will get higher and higher authority, and it will be harder and harder for other sites that produce the similar content then to outrank you. So yes, so I hope this answered the question. Actually, very very good question, I think. So when I look at Peggy Corona, wait, I saw there was some coronavirus. They wrote some articles. Nothing. Let's see, what is that? Yeah. So maybe last thing is, especially if you write about a topic which is super mass, that will become super mass media, you will compete with all the media, the online newspapers. So it's going to be very, very competitive. So my suggestion is also try to write about basically a specific subtopic of that topic. Don't try to create, if you are Peggy, the definitive guide about coronavirus, but try to be very specific about a subtopic within coronavirus, so that you have chances of ranking there that other more mass media, mainstream sites like online newspaper won't be able to basically outrank you, because they won't go a step into the topic. Good. So let me see if no other questions. I wanted to, well, first of all, to thank all the ones that submitted their assignments. I hope that the tool that we reviewed today gave you a glimpse of what you could do and how deep you could go. Let me reiterate that we just scratched the surface, and we just gave you a glimpse of how much you can go in depth to learn about what other companies have already figured out or what they're doing. We will follow up. You will receive an email still tonight, today, with the recording of the session, the material of last week, both the slides from Razi, from myself, and also the recording of last week. And also we will provide the digital certificates for all the people that met our basically the declared conditions, and then attended the session and submit their assignments. So we will let we'll let you know that by end of next week, by next Friday, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll list everything down on the email. Last but definitely not least, if you know what you saw last Friday and today, got your interest. We are running from next Monday for the whole of next week, from the 2nd of March until the 7th of March, are what we call our orientation week. So it's 1 week of live online classes about the introduction to digital marketing. If you, Theo, if you want to share the link, which we'll be sharing, the email we will receive, but let's also share it here on Zoom. Basically, you will see all the content that you will experience next week for only 100,000 rupiah. So basically, we wanted to give everyone a introduction to both digital marketing, but also to what RevoU learning experience is like. So once you're gonna join, basically you're gonna book your ticket, you're gonna join our live lecture, our assignment session, our review session, our Slack community, or reading materials. So a lot of things that you will enjoy and you will experience, and you will take home basically the content that you see here about digital marketing landscape and main marketing channels, core channels overview on how to build a digital marketing team, organization chart, the skills and profile for the different marketing roles, and then a final weekly project sprint, which is basically a weekly assignment that you will be working on. Only thing you have to do is, again, buy your tickets. You can pay with pretty much all the possible payment methods. This is, you recommend to do that either if you are just interested you're just curious to learn more about about online marketing, about digital marketing, growth marketing, only for 1 week, right? Go ahead and do that. And especially if you are considering joining our full program that will start with week 1 on the 16th of March, sign up here, because that's going to be the best way for us to assess basically the applications, and whether to see both from your side and from our side if basically it makes sense for you then to sign up and go with us for the upcoming, for the next 12 weeks. So go here, read the description. We have written down basically pretty much everything you need to know. We'll link to that also in the email you will receive. Buy the tickets as soon as you can. First class is next Monday, 7 p.m. Once you booked here, you will receive all the next steps, information about how to make part of our community via online. We have limited seats. We already have quite a lot of people sign up. So again, if you're interested, please book it as soon as possible. If you have some follow-up questions, just reply back to the email you will receive, or to the WhatsApp number that you will also see, which is our RevoU admission staff. Happy to answer any questions that you will have. Theo, did I lupa anything? Anything you want to add, or we're good?
No, very good.
Good. So guys, thank you so much for being with us. It's 7 p.m. So wish all of you a fantastic weekend, and hope to see many of you basically next week from Monday onwards on our live classes with introduction to digital marketing. Thank you so much, guys, and have a great weekend again.
Thank you, guys.